Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Smokey Joes. My name's Johnny Good Time.
It was great.
How's everybody feeling?
Where did he go?
See, this is what I'm saying. He's doing all that, trying to do too much, man.
This is perfect.
Your mic's muted. Your mic's muted, Johnny.
Hold on, let me see.
All right. All right, welcome back to Old Guys Night.
True professionals here.
Yeah, it's just the show where you watch three old guys struggle with technology. Just trying to make you guys feel better about yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Just
how's things at the beach?
It's nice. The kids were a little crazy today. We definitely had one of those moments where it was like, oh shit, this is we're in it for the long haul, you know? Just all that energy they have, you know what I mean?
Right.
But for the most part, it was a good day. Ate good. We went to the playground for a little bit, and I've been listening to a lot of music from my childhood, a lot of 80s soul, R&B, funk. Been getting into the Hot Chocolate catalog. You know those guys? Yeah, they're dope. Hot Chocolate. I believe in miracles. Where you from?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
See, that's their big hit. But like a lot of great bands with the big hit, yo, their stuff is incredible, man. Their catalog is bonkers.
Oh yeah, Hot Chocolate.
Yeah. Hot Chocolate. UK dudes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw something today that I thought was interesting. Somebody had posted something that like, now's the time to get back into listening to a full album.
Right.
Because now we finally got time again.
Yeah.
And it was like, take the whole thing in.
Right.
And, you got 45 minutes. So go ahead and because that's, especially albums back then, that was the point. It was supposed to be a listening experience for 45 minutes. It wasn't a 3-minute hit and then, 10 fillers.
Right. My whole thing with that is I get the new format of like, a lot of people will just drop a single, but I'm still in the album mindset. Like I like a full project, you know what I mean? But I also like it to be concise. A lot of times, like especially in rap, I know they don't do this as much in rock, but like in rap, they'll have like records back in the day would have 24 songs on. 24. Like that was like
how long was the average song?
Some of them were 3 minutes. I mean, some of them were interludes. Some of them were.
You had like the 38-second interludes that everybody hated,
right?
But you couldn't get past them because, like, it was just like the guys in the studio being jerk-offs, and like you're sitting there for like 38 seconds. But back then, we had a tape deck. It's not like you had time to get. It was worth it to stand up and fast forward because you'd just be like, zzz, and then it'd be the end of it, and then you'd miss the start of the next song or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, these kids today will just they'll never understand, they'll never understand the struggle that we went through to like get through a 24-song album.
Yeah, an album to a kid will be like, what's that? An album? They don't, there's no such thing. They have playlists, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. But like a fully realized project from a person, they listen to it once, take their favorite songs from it and put that on their, playlist or whatever. And that's it. They don't really go back to it,
Well, why did your last album is an album. Like your last album has a whole structure from beginning to end, and it's really, I'm a big fan of the album, but like, why did you decide to do that when you knew that everybody's trying to make 3-minute songs? Why did you decide to make a whole album?
Well, because I know I pretty much am at the point where I kind of know my audience, and my audience is people that are a little bit older. My music isn't, for like, especially now that I've been working with a lot of kids lately, that do music. My style of music is that shit's outdated to them. Like, I know that's a crazy thing to say out loud, but it's real. It's like their flow is that, like, the new kind of melodic double time Meek Millish. Sing songy, you know what I mean? That's their shit. They all rhyme like that, and I look at it like this is their, their generation's style, But for me, an album is still like it's essential and it's important. And I like doing them more so than anything else. I don't feel like you can just, at least for me, my stuff always kind of flows into something else. So it's like to just do one song and just drop it and that be that. Like if I drop something, that means something more is coming very soon, you know?
Right.
What's it like down at the beach going out? Is everybody bugging out, keeping space, distance?
It's dead. We haven't actually gone to the beach, but like walking around the town, it's quiet. But I'm seeing more and more people start to show up. So I think we're not the only people that had this idea, you know?
Yeah. Because I'm like, I think people, especially people that already have a beach house. I mean,
Right.
why the hell not?
Right.
You know,
like,
why do you want to be in a city? Like my thing, like if I wasn't like concerned about my parents, I'd probably just go down to where my parents are.
Right.
But you know, you don't know if you're a carrier, so you have to.
Right.
You can't take that chance. My parents are 70, you know, and
Right.
like it might not do anything to me, but it could be bad for them. So, because I mean, otherwise, like, what's the point of being in the city at this point? You know, the whole thing we love about the city is the energy of it and going out and hanging out with their friends and stuff like that. And at this point, all the hanging out I do is virtual.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I could be anywhere on the planet. I mean, what is Philadelphia? What, you know, like, you know, and then they came out last night and they were like, yeah, you know, we're not really going to arrest people anymore. I was like, oh shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second. What are we hanging around for?
People are driving crazy walking around. It's like, I just assume I have it. Everyone's like double wide, not stepping to the side, giving you plenty of room down the sidewalk. And I'm a germaphobe as it is. I want my at least 3 feet between us. They act like I have it or everyone else around you's got it. Nobody seems to care, man. Everyone's just running by you, walking by you.
Yeah. Well, this reminds me where we're at right now. I keep coming back to that Chris Rock joke about the homeless guy with the funny sign, where he's like, clearly you ain't been homeless that long because you're still making jokes.
Right.
We haven't been homeless that long, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like people are still not. It's not until this shit, I think, you know, either God forbid, you know, and I don't wish this at all, but I do feel like the fact that there are still such a large group of people that aren't taking it serious, that are still on that shit where it's just like, yo, bro, like, are you not paying attention? Like, or is it just you can't, a lot of people just can't accept what's happening, you know?
Right. I think some of it's denial, and I think some of it's they just don't care, especially if they're like in their 20s. And
you
the
see those
stats
guys at the beach?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What happened?
Like they are interviewing the kids at the beach for spring break.
Oh yeah,
man.
Yeah, that was terrible.
They don't care. I mean, they're 20 years old.
Just leave the old people isolated. Quarantine the old people, man. We're fine. We're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing too. It's like a combination of the stats say that it doesn't really hurt young people, even though, you know, there's health complications, but it doesn't kill young people. And the you know, and then there's just that basic, like the mindset of youth. I mean, when we were 20, you know, I wonder, like, would we be taking it as seriously as we are now in our 40s? Like,
no, you know, like, I wouldn't have probably even known about it, man. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, hey, man.
Been like somewhere with a 40 on someone's stoop, like, word? That's happening right now? That's crazy.
Trying to shake hands with everybody.
Yeah, well, because I wasn't plugged in like that. Yeah. Like people find it crazy to believe because of how much I am out of everyone. Most people know, like, on my phone. Mm-hmm. But I was like one of the last people to get a cell phone or you know, get on the internet or any of that shit. You know what I mean? I'm still not that good at it. You know, like as far as like we talk about this all the time, like it's a running joke that I don't have the skills to operate a lot of the stuff that's second nature to people. So back then, I especially wouldn't have been in tune with, you know, none of us were because we weren't all as plugged in as we are now. Because it's like we're processing so much information, which it's not really a good thing too. You know what I mean?
For sure. Hey, our guest is in the waiting room, man. Should we bring him in?
Yeah, let's bring him in. We're excited. We got rock legend Kenn Kweder coming on in the house tonight.
There he is. What's up, Ken?
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. We're connecting to his audio. Let's see what he gets in here.
He does the classic thinking pose.
Yeah. Ken, can you hear us? Hey, Ken.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, there he is.
You're bringing me into the 21st century here.
We were just talking about that. Yeah, well, I'm way behind with technology too, man.
We just arrived yesterday, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, I want to just tell you something. I was just listening to the Cornbread podcast that you did.
Yeah.
Remember Cornbread?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, shout out to Cornbread.
Cornbread was unbelievably influential on me. Like
Yeah.
when I was going to school, I would see his tags at every trolley stop, every bus stop. And this is before I got a career together. I thought, who is this cat? You know, so I mean, it was everywhere, and and like that's when I got the idea to put up like 10,000 Kenn Kweder posters all over Philadelphia with just my name and a picture of Lee Harvey Oswald on there, and no other information. Like Cornbread, we didn't know who he was, but he was a legend. And I used carnation milk to stick these things up. And I used to put them up near his name, so I was tagging him in a weird way, But because Cornbread's always been like mysterious legend. I never met him, but I wanted to tell you I enjoyed that interview, man.
Thank you. He's a very, very cool cat.
Yeah. Incredible.
You said you're not really into technology, but it looked like to me like as soon as things like got crazy, like you were like, I'm taking this to Facebook, and I feel like you were doing it really before I saw anybody else even doing it.
Yeah, something happened. I don't know. Like when this thing started, I just decided. I don't know. I just did it as a lark, figuring a few people would check in, but a lot of people checked in, and I attached a little tip jar and like a virtual tip jar, and it's been working out. It's great.
Yeah. People send you like Venmo money and PayPal.
Yeah, Venmo, PayPal, and I didn't even know there's something called Facebook Messenger where you can send money. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I had money sitting in Facebook, man. I was like, oh my God. I always felt the sense of guilt, but that went away quick.
Yeah, that shit goes away quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's I mean there's so much to cover with you because you've been rocking in Philly so long. I want to ask you first though about the show last night because that was pretty amazing. You played Smokey Joes. How long have you been playing Smokes?
29 and a half years straight on every Tuesday night. Unless I went to Europe, I went to California, I couldn't do it, but it's been it'll be 30 years in about 6 months. So that's it. And it starts generally at midnight, So Johnny, because many times I would come to see you before I would go on, and you would by around 11. I hadn't even gone on yet. So yeah, it's 29 years, yeah. And obviously there's been sort of a, the campus has been shut down. So, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to put this thing up on the internet and see if there's any Penn alumni that might be interested in watching it. And so we did it, and we got a huge response from people of the 2020 class all the way back to years ago that are in New York or Chicago.
Wow. So do you feel like because
go ahead.
We're all sort of analog here, like, and all of us are trying to make this conversion as quickly as possible. Like, obviously it's got to be tough for you because you lost your gigs. I mean, we can all relate. But like, is there a certain excitement that goes with having kind of your back against the wall and having to learn how to do this thing new?
I feel like I'm 19 all over again. I love it. And and by doing these like live streams, I'm sure you guys are aware. You can edit it, you can do whatever. But I mean, I just do it like kind of brutally honest, and I got like goofy. I like puppets, and I got crazy shit like this, and the guitar, and so I try to make it real sort of like basic and primitive, but fertile,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
After you go on at midnight, you play till closing. What time do you wake up the next day?
Well, let me tell you what happens. Going to midnight, we play from midnight till like 2:00, maybe a little bit later. No break, just straight ahead rocking. Then we hang out. We got to break the system down. Then we sit around the bar, we talk. Next thing you know, it's like 3:30. I say to the guys, I'm going to go home. They grab me, they go, you're an old man. You're going to sit here and hang with us guys. So I stayed there till like 4. And I get home usually around 4:45. Whether it's Uber or the guitar player drives me. But so I don't get up. I still get up in the morning, before the crack of noon, because I'm wired like that. But There's been quite a few times. I mean, I don't remember.
Back at noon.
Yeah, but it's late, baby. And I keep thinking my molecules are way older than anybody in this building. I'm older than the owner, you know.
So
what inspires you to keep performing and keep making music?
That's a good question, because I mean, like, I honestly thought, you know, for a couple of days, all my gigs were canceled, and I was going, and I kept thinking, I got to leave. I have to go through the front door here to go somewhere, but there was nowhere to go. And I started to think, you know, I'm going to lose my identity if I don't do something. And for me to actually, like, even if I'm 68 years old, okay, so it's like I'm definitely, I don't know how much longer I can pull this off physically, but the thing is, like, I kind of, it's almost like cornbread. You need an identity, you know. I can't just not play unless physically I'm prevented, you know.
Right,
it's very important to me. So I'm going to keep doing this until I can't do it, you know. So that's the thing.
I like that.
And I do love it, and I'm always mixing and matching. I'm meeting new people. Most of the people are younger. Some people are like at a pre-cynical age. I love to be around that because they're not like burned out yet, and that's a beautiful thing, you know.
Right.
It's like a vitamin. It's like being around vitamins, you know.
Yeah. It gives you a boost.
Yeah, totally, man. At my age, I need every boost I can get. I used to get other kind of boost, you know, a long time ago, you know. You know what I mean?
Got you.
Yeah.
I read you. We're here.
Oh yeah, man.
So
Yeah.
what?
Now, where are you
so
guys?
tell us.
Where are you broadcasting this from? Where's it? Where are you?
I'm at my lady's aunt's shore house in Sea Isle. We came down here with the kids to lay low.
Nice. I used to play down. I never
South
there.
Philly, right around the corner from the TLA.
Okay, cool. And Johnny, you're in like South. You're like 20.
Graduate Hospital.
Yeah, I know, because we used to meet up down there years. Remember, we would get some lunch and stuff, you know.
I mean, if you haven't noticed, he's sitting atop the Four Seasons, looking down upon the city.
Right.
You see his background, Ken? You like that?
It looks like I got to take another look at that. It looks like something's going on there.
It looks like something.
Yeah,
It certainly does.
Yeah.
Ken, what? Tell us. You know, I don't know if you have any like particular, because you've toured with just about everybody. Who was your favorite? Who's the favorite performer that you ever got to spend time with on tour or on shows or what have you?
Well, this wasn't even included tour. This was, I think you probably know this story. I used to drive Tom Waits around. I was his driver when he first started. So I don't know if everybody knows who Tom Waits is, but he was an incredible.
If they don't, they can't listen to this podcast.
Right? Yeah. If they don't, they're on the wrong channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was his driver, and you know, he was a fascinating guy. I drove him for about on and off for 9 months, you know, and you know, and I got to meet Patti Smith. I got to meet a horn player through him that actually recorded with Jack Kerouac. Those were fascinating days. And the irony of the whole thing is that like Tom always had a what would you call, like he was well known for drinking, you know, and he was like he loved the beatnik generation, and that whole thing was wrapped around like, you know, changing your mental attitude on things through substances and booze. Right. And I was driving him. Then I took a little bit of poetic license towards the very end of the 9 months when we were in the dressing rooms. I would out-drink him. And then a couple of nights in a row, I woke up in the back seat of my car. He was driving me. I eventually got fired. I got fired by Tom Waits for drinking.
The old switcheroo.
Story. You know, true story. So, but I mean, that was lucky enough. I mean, I played with the Ramones and all these. Oh, look what we got here. All right. Joining daddy.
And let me ask you this, Ken. I read this about you. They said his shows are cathartic, propulsive, and energized, and he's just imitating his mother. Tell us about that.
That's true. I grew up in a household where my mother often would talk about the fact that she wished she had never quit showbiz. She really wasn't even in it, but she had a knack for dancing or whatever. And it was like, to be honest with you, it was like living with Judy Garland at her completely worst, insane, out of control era. That was my mother. She was like Judy Garland. And so like when she would speak to me or to the family at large about how she was frustrated. She didn't, fulfill her dream of being on stage. I thought to myself, you know what, I don't understand life. I'm going to try to follow in her footsteps. And as I did that, and I got into drinking or whatever, I kind of I wasn't really imitating. I became my mother at the early part of my career because I was really like off the hook, completely nuts. But in the same sentence, you had to be outrageous and you have to be outrageous to get any kind of notoriety in the business I'm in. I knew I was good, but imitating my mom or letting my mom come out, that gave me more notoriety. I did lose a lot of work, but I kept coming back to get more work, So
right. What would you say the biggest difference is in the eras of music that you played, in the 70s, 80s, 90s up till now? Or do you find that it's been there's a difference in the type of energy that you feel, or is it a different type of way people run their business, or do you feel like things haven't really changed that much in the industry?
Well, I think a lot of things have changed in the industry in terms of, so-called record sales and things like that. But to me, it seems to me that I know that when I grew up, I'm from like the 60s and the 70s and, basically the 60s and the 70s and the very early 80s molded me. It was almost like when you were in the 60s, you would sit at home and listen religiously to a new album by Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd. There was nobody interrupting you. That was like Moses coming down from the mountain.
Right,
He's got the Zeppelin album, and you're going to listen to it because you think it's going to illuminate some kind of truth in life that you missed at school. And you really believe that. And I think for a good part, it was true. And Bob Dylan and the Beatles and all that stuff. So all those things were incredible. And I think in the 70s, it was the same thing in the early 80s. And then things still stayed great, but it wasn't like the cultural, philosophical intersection that was coming into your ears. It became one of many other intersections. Like right now, there's a lot of great music out there. But and there's some great philosophy going on. But people have so many little toys and gizmos, whether it's this or that, smartphone or whatever, or like the latest, R&B, hip hop, rock music. It's not center stage anymore. It's on stage, but alongside a lot of other things. Is what I think. But but for the most part, if you're really dedicated, you can find meaning in it. There's a 15-year-old kid somewhere right now. We're going to hear his name in 3 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have to be irrationally, intentionally, like bleeding blood all over your motives to do this. And I'm still bleeding. Not as much.
I'm still bleeding.
Yo,
that's a jewel right there that you just dropped, man. Like I feel you 100%. Like that's a very noble and honest way to feel about this, because a lot of people just they get into it for just the check and the glory, but if this is something that you genuinely love and have to do to survive, it's like your air, right? So it's like you're still bleeding. I like that.
It's true. And the thing is, I never ever, I have to make money to stay alive, but it's never been the focal point. In a weird way, I took like a comical vow of poverty at the beginning, so I wouldn't be let down. So I would never be let down or disappointed. So and I've been real lucky. I've been able to, stay alive.
Yeah, stay alive, man. I love it.
And I'm still bleeding, baby. I'm not going to stop.
I'm still bleeding.
How many shows do you think you've played at this point, Ken?
Well, for there was like up until a few years ago, I was doing I did like for 10 straight years from like 2000 and like 2002. It was like 10 straight years. It was 300 shows every year. Okay. Every year up until a couple years ago, but before that, there was always at least 200. So if I started playing 200 shows a year in 1977, I have to add it all up, but it's definitely close to 10,000. I'm assuming. Yeah, that's a lot of gigs, man. It's a lot of driving too. It's a lot of blackouts too. Like, I get fucking nuts at the end of the show.
You can't get nervous at all when you go on stage these days?
Nah.
Pardon me?
You get any kind of like excitement or nerves before you go out?
Oh, generally I don't have any nerves. Last night I had nerves because there was no audience essentially. Yeah. So I was like, is this going to work over? I really was nervous for the first 30 minutes. And I'll never not lose this sense of urgency or nervousness, because if I did, I wouldn't have respect for my audience. I think I always have to be a little bit nervous to want to be as good as I can. But there's been times where I just kind of, I was drinking a little bit. I wasn't nervous then, so whatever.
So you had a chance to stop the bleeding, kind of. You a guy who found Santana, Simon and Garfunkel, Whitney Houston, Clive Davis wanted to work with you, right?
That's true. Yeah, he really wanted to.
You told him to fuck off.
He wanted me to mellow out. I was young, man. There was no mellow out,
man.
And he wanted me to use words with less syllables. And at that point, I was into syllables, like lots of syllables, lots of syllables.
He's old monosyllabic Clive Davis. I didn't know that.
That's what he wanted.
Do you think that's one difference between? I know Reef asked you earlier about the difference between music now and music back then. Do you feel like there was sort of a negative connotation to selling out back then that maybe doesn't apply now? Like it seems like everybody's goal almost is to sell out.
You're absolutely. I started about 12, 13 years ago. That's true. Yeah, it's almost like it's okay.
Oh, how we lose them?
I don't know.
Over there. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, I just thought that was going to be a total sellout. Like people don't realize I worked for the government before I became a musician, and I was just getting tired of taking orders. And the reason I got into playing rock and roll and whatever, I always loved music. But secondly, I was a big fan of Jim Morrison and like Zeppelin and all these guys were breaking the rules. And I wanted to go somewhere where I made the rules for my art, my music. When Clive Davis told me, "Oh no, we're going to put guardrails around you, Kweder," I was like, fuck the guardrails. And I mean, that's, fuck the guardrails. It's my thing. And it's like, so, but that was then. I mean, I still, nobody, you couldn't sign me now anyway. I'm too weird, I think, Even if I tried to sell out, it would probably be it'd be like the weirdest sellout of all time.
Just be like the most random sellout.
Like the guy tried to sell out and then he lost album sales and shit. Be like a brand new type of sellout. Like brand new.
How do you feel about touring then and now?
Well, I'm not doing too much in that now because I'm driving myself everywhere. And I'm a little bit old. My eyes are getting screwed up. But I love. I'll play all over the general area. I'm in New York a number of times each year. I'm in Chicago and San Francisco. I do like a lot of fundraisers. They fly me all places to do things, but it's not like a tour of 30 gigs in 45 days. It's like this, that. But most of my stuff, of course, is in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area, Princeton, whatever,
Right,
but there's no more. The old days of touring, that was a long time ago, doing all that stuff.
Yeah. Gotcha.
It's expensive. By the way, where did you realize it's expensive to tour?
Yeah. Where did you like to go the most when you were touring? Where was a place that you loved to go?
Well, I was in Europe a couple of different times, and I played a lot. I was inside of London, and then outside of London, and some of the little place called Little Kimball and High Wycombe. There was a lot of places out there that really liked me. I was doing solo back then. That was like the 80s. Then I went in the 90s. I was doing stuff in Scandinavia, in Denmark, Copenhagen, Malmo, those places there. And then I would just go to Prague. A lot of these things, I had someone would help me out and do the booking. And I never really made a whole lot of money, but I had experienced it. I came back with a little bit, but it was great. But Europe was tremendous. Of course, anytime I play New York and places like that, that's unbelievable too. And San Francisco, stuff like that.
Yeah. When are you going to write the book?
I was thinking I'd have to get together with somebody else because I did. Do you remember a couple of years ago? You and I were talking about something. I ended up doing like Bruce Springsteen did the thing. Bruce Springsteen on Broadway. So I did a little Kenn Kweder not on Broadway. KNOB. Kenn Kweder not on Broadway. So I did about 6 of those shows in the last 18 months, and they were pretty reflective of like what I have gone through. Each show was different; it wasn't the same. But I'd have to really take a break and live in a hotel to write the book because that takes a lot of focus.
What was the best story that you told on the when you were doing the one-man show? What was the story that the crowd liked the most?
Let me see. Everybody liked the Tom Waits thing. There's so many. I'm trying to think. You got me on the spot here. the whole thing of like when I worked for the government, right? And this goes back to cornbread. We're going back to cornbread. I worked for the before I worked for the government.
Everything goes back to cornbread.
It all
well, that's everything. Yeah. The all things in life kind of just go back to cornbread. Yeah.
Everything. Television, radio, music. So anyway, I was getting so fed up with the government job. I was in charge of food stamps. I was the guy who gave out all the food stamps in West Philly, right? So when I was so fed up, I go, I'm going to just get into rock. I'm going to get into music. I was already doing some music. I'm going to save up some money, a little bit, and then I'm going to go get into music. So while I'm at the government, I'm rehearsing with the band called the Secret Kids. And then when I finally quit the government job, when I ran out of money, the first thing I did is I went to the food stamp office.
You came back in like, hey guys, remember me?
But let me tell you, there was a strategy here. I had already printed up 10,000 Kenn Kweder posters, like this one right here. Hold on a second.
Oh, sweet.
Like
Merch.
this.
Nice.
See that? Kenn Kweder with Leo Harvey Oswald on there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I printed up 10,000 of these. Then I quit the government office, and I'm thinking, I got to get my name up on all the walls like cornbread. So I went and got the food stamps, and I bought like a zillion gallons of carnation milk, which is proven to be an adhesive. It's like glue. So I glued up all of Philadelphia with my name with government subsidized food stamps. That was my, I did get arrested too. That's another story, but not just I was doing it under City Hall, but that was one of the stories. Yeah.
To keep with the food theme, man, I read about your sandwich trick.
Oh, the sandwich trick. Yeah, I still do that. I was just up in Ambler, but you know what? Sometimes you hit a home run. A lot of times you strike out. I spent quite a bit of afternoons buying sandwiches. Like the sandwich trick is like Kenn Kweder has to get a gig. I'm always gigging, and I'm always getting fired. By the way, always getting fired for whatever. I get replaced by karaoke. I got replaced by something called pajama brunch. It was bizarre. Put pajama. Get out of here, Kweder. We got this new thing, like a new distraction for me. I got replaced by an ATM machine, and then in West Philly, I got replaced by a fire pit. And I drive by that fire pit. It's a true story. It's 34th and Market. There's a fire pit I used to play, and they put the fire pit in. When I played, there was always like 11 people. When I drive by there now, there's always like 80 to 100 people having drinks by the fire pit. So they made a good business decision. But this shit goes on all the fucking time. So I'm constantly losing gigs. So what I do, even though I'm fairly well, over the years, I'm pretty well booked. I know I'm going to get fired. I will get fired. So I go out like 1 day a week or 2 days a week. I go to a bar that has live music and I order a sandwich. And then I strike up a conversation. Because the old days, what you would do, you give them a press kit and you would give them like the CDs and stuff like that. That don't work no more. You got to go in. You got to get the sandwich chicken. You have to bring the guitar case in, and you got to tell them I just got back from the Canary Islands. I was playing in Canary. I went there for a month. They kept me there for 6 months because they thought I was hilarious. And I keep going back with the sandwich, and the next thing you know, they fucking hire me. But it didn't work in Ambler. I spent about, I don't know, $110 on fucking sandwich. I never got the gig. So the sandwich trick doesn't always work. But the thing is, I look at it this way. Everybody has to eat, right? Number one, the commandment, everybody's got to eat, right? And if the club has live music, you want to eat at the club that has live music, because number three, you might get a gig. The sandwich trick, that's it. Right.
Good strategy.
Yeah. I mean, I want to work.
Yeah. Well, you said earlier, you were talking earlier about getting arrested. You've been arrested a few times.
Oh yeah, sure. The one time I actually, like, my career kind of went into the tailspin like in the early 80s. So I was back at the government again, right? So I'm back, and then, but it was hard on me because I just lived like 5 years of like hardcore Jim Morrison rock and roll drug life. So I was working on a Friday. I left the government job. I had a gig up in this place in the Northeast. The name of the place was Philly Mignon. Right? So this is like the worst place that anybody's ever played at. They hire me, right? So I go up there. I'm drinking Jack Daniels, and it's a fucked up place. Nobody knows what I'm doing. So I go into the men's gym. I find out somebody there goes, "You want to take some Tuinals?" So I'm like, "Oh, I know Tuinals. I don't know if you guys know what Tuinals are."
No, what are those?
I don't.
It's like a Quaalude, but more powerful, right? So It's like phenobarbital. It's like back in another decade. Anyway, I take them. I missed the train. It's a long story. Next thing you know, I wake up like in the roundhouse. Like I don't even know what happened with a broken nose and shit. So it turns out that what happened, you know, when they let me out, and my lawyer got involved. He read to me what happened, and it said that what I used to do back then. I got off the train apparently, you know, from the Philly Mignon, right? I took the 2 and all. I was completely smashed. And I used to, when it started raining, and I would try different car doors on different cars, because I would go into any car that was unlocked and sleep off my trunk or whatever I was. I thought that was kind of normal. So, and that worked for, you know, throughout, you know, for a little while there. But this night, what happened is none of the cars were open. I don't really remember this, but I went into a parking lot. I tried these doors, and I got in to this car, and I fucking laid down. Little did I know I was being observed, because the parking lot that I was in was the Philadelphia police parking lot, 8th and fucking Arch. I picked the wrong. So apparently they tried to get me out, and I was so high on tunnels, I thought I was home, and I was on my back like fighting the officers, and they tuned me up. And then one guy hit me so hard, you know, he fucked his hand up. So then I got arrested for assaulting a police officer with my face.
Yeah,
God,
they'll do shit like that all day.
There's more to the story. I'll tell you that in person. Like, because you know, it's a really long story, but because you know they knew my nose was up. Huh?
Did the charges stick?
Fucking right, they stuck, because what happened? They had fucked my face up so much that they brought me to there was a hospital next door. It was like cylindrical building. Yeah. So they bring me in there, right? It's a trick the cops do sometimes. You know, they do things. They put a butterfly thing rather than stitch you up, because they knew that I could press charges or whatever. So I'm laying in bed, right? And next thing you know, man, I had been a cross country runner. I'm like, my mind's going, I was a cross country runner. I'm going to get out of here. So I fucking jump out of bed, and I start running the hallways of the hospital. Motherfuckers got me, man. So they definitely pressed charges, and I was on probation.
When you were running, did you know where the exit was, or you were just kind of running back and forth like?
No, I kind of knew it had to be at the end of the hallway.
Right. So they got you at the end of the hallway.
They got me down, man. They got me down, baby. And when I woke up the next time, I was on a fucking metal bench, face down. It must have been 50 feet of a metal chain. They chained me down this fucking bench. It was fucking nuts. You know, but I tell you, there's so much. There's way much to the story. I want to get
running around.
You got to write that book, man.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. There's a lot more to that story.
So with hallways in a gown?
Pardon me?
Were you wearing a gown running through the hallways? Or
no, because I was still dressed. They brought me in. Yeah. I mean, believe me, they didn't. There was they brought me in to get a butterfly stitch. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, I lost the case. But our defense. I mean, I actually have the legal thing about the suspect entering the parking lot of the police administration building. you know, and the car was an unmarked police car. How the fuck was I going to know? You know.
Right.
You know. Crazy.
And so then when you said you kind of had a rough patch in the 80s, how'd you pull out of that?
Because the last time I got arrested was like the end of the 80s. I was just so, it was like, you know, you're in there like you're always in there for a couple of days, like you know, like on the weekend or whatever. I just got literally here's two things that every time I went to jail, and I used to play prisons. I used to play prison Otisville. I did Lewisburg State. Nice. I did all these prisons for a while. And every time I went into a fucking jail, even when I went to play, people knew me in there. And when I was arrested, there was people who knew me in there. Cleaners here, right? So, like, but the thing is, because it wasn't like I was like nervous or anything. I was like, the last fucking time I went in, I was so bored. And I was 72 hours of like not doing what I want to do. I said, I ain't coming back. That's it. It was just 72 hours, the most boring, dirty, fucked up. And then you got some angry motherfucker, you know, guys with the charge and shit. I said, fuck this. I can't do it anymore, you know?
Yeah.
That was it. That was it, you know?
Good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, you got do you have your guitar on you?
Yeah.
I got it here. Yeah.
Let's hear a live tune. This is live late night TV, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Greg, can you bring him up?
Yep, he's up.
Okay, yeah. I could do any one of my songs. I mean, but I actually, there's a song I wrote called "Doctor Says There's an Epidemic," but that might be too heavy. I don't know.
Play what's on your heart, man. Whatever's on your heart.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this is. Let me see. There's that. Hold on one second. Let me see. There's so many. It's like so. How about let me see. I'll do a up-tempo one. Well, people scuffling with themselves, keeping rhythm to a sidewalk melody. Scary Harry lives alone, marking time. Where's his mind at? After the news gets out. After the news gets out. After the news gets out. That you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. Cellophane, fireworks, illuminate the things that hurt. Tell me now, after the news gets out. After the news gets out. After the news gets out. That you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're. One lesson I'm still learning. That's a good question that I still. Darn it! Wow. I think I'm learning to try to communicate better with people. I mean, with people like. Sometimes I find myself like I know I'm a public guy, public figure, whatever, but sometimes I'm really very genuinely shy, and I don't articulate myself as well as I could, particularly around brand new people for some reason. I don't know why that is, but that if I can continue to learn, I have improved my articulation, but it's nowhere near where I would like to get it. Okay. Like to me, if I could just be Peter O'Toole, I'd be okay.
That's a great aspiration. That's a good aspiration.
Man, that guy can talk, man.
Yeah. Is it me?
Yeah.
Favorite song to play that isn't your own?
Oh, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right by Bob Dylan. Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. I probably played that more than any song I've ever played. I love that song. Yeah.
What piece of advice would you give 18-year-old Kenn Kweder?
Well, it depends on what his interest was. If he was into music, I would say be prepared for, a lot of disappointment. But if you really love it, just keep going and use the brand new tools that are going to be constantly being created to further your career, stuff like that. And don't let little things stop you, because it's life can, first of all, life, there's no proof that life has any particular meaning, but if you can find meaning within life and music's that meaning, don't let anything stop you. So that's what I would say. And also make sure you have like a backup plan, like bartending or something like that. So, but you need money. You need money to get like the Kenn Kweder, like the shot glass.
Oh man, plug that merch, bro. Plug that merch.
I have to send it to you guys. I got a whole bunch of them.
It wouldn't be signed with Clive Davis.
Say that again.
Would you tell them Clive Davis?
Because then you would surrender whoever you were. I don't want anybody to surrender who they are. Not at an early age.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Never. Yeah. Because that guy was instrumental in a lot of people's lives. But I don't think it would have worked out for me because we were just definitely from different planets, you know.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good on his planet, you know.
Right. And you were good in your planet, yeah.
On the Kweder planet, you know? Until when the two planets collide.
When are you going live again?
I think maybe tomorrow, because I don't want to do it too many times because I want to do some kind of like puppet show and stuff too. You know, I've been bringing weapons. Did you know I've been bringing weapons out? You know, I got like weapons.
I did not know that.
I got the sword, like the sword cane. I got the sword cane. Like I got all. It makes the show different because a lot of these other guys in Philly, they're great, but they don't have the crazy humor that I have. It's like, you know, it's nuts. I mean, like I got a lot of like what do you call it? Props. You know.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I'll probably have a lot more props. I might even read some poetry. I was about doing some poetry, you know.
All right. What poet you like?
Oh, got it. Well, I mean, the best is Shakespeare, but I mean, like A.E. Housman. I like stuff that's by a guy in Philadelphia, a guy named Paul Grillo. I'm trying to track down some of the stuff for tomorrow. And the best, by the way, and I'm going to say this now, the greatest poet I ever saw ever, and I think is up there in the centuries. He's from Philadelphia. His name's Marty Watt. If I can get my hands on some of his stuff, Marty Watt, man. He is there.
You said he's a Philadelphia poet?
He's not doing it right now, but he's still.
No, I mean, you said he's from Philly.
He's from Philly, and he started off. We started off together, and to this day, I still keep in touch with him. But he's at this point, he's talking to dogs and ducks and things like that. I mean, he's moved into another thing, but he's complete genius, genius. Marty Watt, and that if I could get my hands on some of his poetry, it would be great. He genius.
Check him out.
Yeah, Marty Watt.
Nice.
You're out, Reed.
Oh, where's your favorite place to play in Philly, or past or present?
I mean, over the years, I mean, I loved playing. I mean, of course, I mean, right now, I mean, Smokey Joes has been great to me, and also right now, there's a place called The Locks in Manioc. That's a great listening room.
I heard that about that spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Over the years, there was a place called the Tin Angel, which was great. J.C. Dobbs, of course, was great. You know, I used to play the Philadelphia Ethical Society. That was great. There's a lot of them, but I mean, at the very top, I mean, the stuff that really meant the most to me, I have to say, in the early days, you know, I mean, there was a place called the Main Point. You know, there's all these places that were really critical in my DNA. You know,
right?
Yeah.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the name Robert Hazard?
Well, I mean, I knew Robert. He was like a competitor, I guess, a younger competitor. He was great. He was great at what he did. You know, he was. He used to come to my shows. You know, when he was young, I used to let him come to the shows, and then when I had, you know, after the Clive Davis thing, I broke up with my manager. I gave my manager's phone number to Robert, and he made history. I mean, he wrote "Girls Just Want to Have Fun." He had a lot of hits, and so I mean, he was great. He was a great artist. You know, in Philadelphia. You know, unfortunately, died young.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So he did what? Escalator of Life.
Yeah.
Escalator of Life.
He did, but Girls Just Want to Have Fun is obviously the one that he's best known for. But
yeah. And he had like he had a lot of other great songs too. You know, Out of the Blue. Quite a few other great songs. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I mean, he was a huge. I mean, I did good in the 70s and, you know, late 70s, but he was the next. Him and the A's were the next thing, and he just took off. He was huge. I mean, he was on, you know, Dick Clark and all that shit. You know?
Right.
I never heard of the bull. I'm gonna have to check him out.
Yeah,
he was great. He was great. You know, really great. Just a lot of great artists. I mean, you know, from Philly. My God.
Who's your favorite Philly artist?
I mean, like of all time?
Yeah,
Marty Watt. I mean, the poet.
Well, yeah.
But then when you get into people that were kind of I mean, Robert Hazard would certainly be one of them. Richard Bush from the A's is great. And Amos Lee, he's real good too. I love him. You know, he came out about 12 years ago. And there's been so many great ones. I mean, the Stray Cats were great. They came from Philly, you know. You know, I'm trying to think who. I mean, like, I'm kind of spacing out right now, but there's a lot right now. I mean, there's great people. Cliff Hillis right now is incredible. Cliff Hillis, and Mia Johnson's great. I mean, there's like, oh my God, Jim Bosia. Oh my God, Jim Bosia. I
don't know Jim Bosia.
Oh my God. I almost get nosebleeds from jealousy when he plays, you know. I'm like, I should be doing that. I thought I was good. I thought I was the good guy, you know. Jim Bogia. It's Boggia. He's incredible. Yeah.
All right, we'll check him out. All right, Ken, well, we thank you so much, man. We really appreciate you coming on with us.
Thank you so much. And I hope I get a chance to see you like in the near future when this thing blows over. And you know, maybe I'll bring a couple of these for all you guys when I do see.
Yeah,
Ken, where can they find you at, Ken, if they want to watch and donate and all that other stuff? Let them give them the links.
Facebook, Kenn Kweder. That's it. KENNKWEDER. Facebook, Kenn Kweder is the best thing to find out, to either see me or know what's coming up. And thank you guys so much. And I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Keep on bleeding, man. I like that.
I'm keep bleeding. Nosebleed for Jim Bosia.
Good night, everybody. Peace.
See you, buddy.
All right, see you. All right, love you. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be back probably in a couple nights. We'll figure it out. We'll let everybody know. Be sure to stay tuned on our Facebook page, The Philly Blunt. Be sure to check us out on Twitter, The Philly Blunt, Instagram, Philly Blunt. And we hopefully be back on Friday.
Peace.
What are you doing, Reed? All right. My name is Shiny Good Times. Take it light.
Later.
It's the sound of Philadelphia. Yo, welcome to the home of brotherly love.